Hey guys, we got to talk. It's time I hold myself accountable. I knew this day would come because we all make mistakes. But what matters is how you respond to mistakes that you've made that determines your character and the validity and authenticity that you've established in your relationship with your audience. And there was a fragrance that I spoke very poorly of, and I'm going to explain why. Strap up. All right. Welcome to the Scent Bubble, guys. This is not really a review, but it has everything you need to know if you're evaluating this particular fragrance. So even though it's not in the review format, you will have everything you need for a modern evaluation of a great scent. Now, why do I say that? I made a hot takes video about 1 year ago. At the time of this recording, it is 6/18/26, and I literally recorded a hot takes video on this fragrance exactly 1 year ago. And that is this bad boy right here. This is Chanel's Platinum Egoiste. In the hot takes video, I was very harsh, very critical. And since last year, I've grown significantly in my journey, become more self-aware, become more certain of what I enjoy and certain of what I don't, become more optimistic and open-minded to give fragrances time. And I recognize that very quickly because when I go back and watch this video, I made some royal mistakes that I'm here to make right. First and foremost, I said that this fragrance is not worth the money. That couldn't be further from the truth. So I want to go ahead and let you know that I've rewatched the video and I've had some subscribers that know my thoughts on this fragrance have changed and have begged me to give an updated review of it. And I understand why. This was absolutely necessary and needed to happen. So here's the truth, guys. I did not lie in the moment about this fragrance. I told you the truth. I told you exactly how I felt in that moment when evaluating a fragrance at an Ulta or Sephora in a hot take fashion. That means I sprayed the fragrance on a test strip, brought it with me in the car, sat with it for about a half hour, and just told you my thoughts. So in that moment, I was being fully transparent and true. But here's what changed. Me. I grew up. I have new eyes. I have new things that I appreciate about fragrance. I have more tools to evaluate a fragrance. And now going back to this scent, I realize it is a masterpiece. So I didn't mean to lie. Really that's a clickbaity title, right? But there is some truth in that. What I once said, I'm eating all of my words in full accountability. So let's make things right and walk through some of the things I said about Chanel's Platinum Egoiste, and then I will give you some final thoughts and we'll go ahead and wrap up. So first and foremost, the number one mistake that I made, and this needs to be broken down because there was no way for me to avoid this mistake in the format that I created. I basically created a system in which I would fail at, and that is that hot takes itself is not the best offering I can give for a review, which is why typically I'll offer a hot take for an in-the-moment live assessment, and then I'll follow it up with a full-fledged review. That way I have 2 moments with a fragrance, short time with it and long time with it, and can give well-roundedness. But because I never took it home, I didn't. And I was so early on in my journey and following count that I didn't measure the cost of doing that at the time. So let's talk about it. I sprayed this fragrance on a test strip. Royal mistake. What I've learned in fragrance is that fragrances like this style, which is what I would refer to as minimalist luxury, they never are showcased in the best light on a test strip. And in general, fragrances can smell totally different on the test strip versus your skin. So that was the number one mistake I made, is in my hot take, I evaluated the test strip and not my skin. So what I didn't know is that you get a completely different experience on skin in almost every category I'm going to walk through. But also the main difference is that when you spray the test strip, you're getting about 1/10 of the distribution of the sprayer. And on skin, you're getting 100% of the distribution of spray that is actually staying on skin. And almost none of it is going off the skin. Whereas with the test strip, you spray it, only whatever hits this stays, so it's a much weaker and diffusive experience. So that was the first mistake I made with this fragrance. Secondly, I misrepresented the composition of this fragrance. In the video, I said that the fragrance is a very clean, gentlemanly, somewhat fougere-ish, simple bergamot scent with a kind of pepperish spritz. And I want to make that right now that I know what's made in this fragrance and now have the tools to articulate what I was feeling in a better, more accurate light for you guys. So let me just walk through the notes for you of this fragrance and where I made the mistake in describing it in a hot take. Top notes: lavender, rosemary, neroli, petitgrain. Middle notes: geranium, clary sage, galbanum, jasmine. Base notes: oak moss, vetiver, cedar, sandalwood, and amber. Now, this is what I would classify today as a somewhat neo-fougere, new fougere, because it imitates almost by about 75% the base DNA of a classic fougere fragrance, but it has added tons of additional ingredients, hence the term neo, where it has a fougere base composition and then remixes it by adding stuff on top of it to manipulate the composition. So this is a luxury neo-fougere fragrance in my eyes, mainly emphasizing aromatics and green plants and florals. And so the pepperish spritz that I was feeling was actually aromatic bite from plants. Things like the clary sage, the rosemary, the petitgrain, the oak moss, the vetiver, the lavender, all of that, the cedar, all of that working together was creating a punchy scent profile that was more aromatic than pepperish. I also said that there was probably some sort of bergamot backbone to it, you know, almost like a Mont Blanc Star Walker. And that may be true because not all of the ingredients are labeled or listed on Fragrantica, but I don't see it on Fragrantica, so I need to kind of eat my words there as well. I do get a somewhat very generic kind of bergamot smell, but I don't know if that's actually in there. It feels like a mainly clean bergamot, almost metallic smell, very airy and crisp, and then just a robust amount of aromatic spritz. And it's sharp, but it's middleweight and airy. And there's different vibes that it gives me. It gives me business, it gives me gentleman, it gives me classy, it gives me sophisticated, it gives me sharp. It even sometimes, due to the aromatics, gives me soapy. But it's more of the sophisticated soap, not necessarily the outdoor green bar of soap that you might be familiar with. So yeah, just wanted to iron out the composition for you guys. It's plant-like green. It's almost has a bitter green, sharp, crispy bite to it. You get some floral beauty of like 1 out of 10 sweetness, a little bit of citricness, a little bit of soapiness. But it mostly feels green, slight citric, soapy. The woods and the amber and oak moss base, though I can't really say makes the fragrance feel woody or amberish, just gives it a base of sophistication that takes me somewhere between the nicest curated outdoors and the business office. Somewhere right in the middle. Next, I talked about the performance. I said that you'll probably get 1 hour of amazing projection and then this fragrance will fall off. And I'm here to report to you that that is a complete lie. After testing this fragrance out of the full distribution, which is absolutely necessary with this fragrance, you can't just spray the wrist. You need to get the full, this is one of the biggest atomizer diameters I've seen in perfumery, you know, just to spray myself. You know, that literally covered up here to down here in one spray. If you spray even 6 to 10 times of this, this will go at least 3 to 4 hours with great projection the entire time. And in fact, I can smell this after a whole day when I do 10 sprays if I put it on skin and clothes. But generally speaking, I can get a noticeable 3 to 4 hours of awesomeness. And then after that, I just smell really clean. As far as the glorified 1 foot skin scent is concerned, the projection is quite loud, surprisingly, for an eau de toilette. I get about 3 feet of really great projection. It leaves no sillage, really. But the projection is so loud, you are an aura of cleanly masculinity. What I think makes this fantastic for its composition is that most green scents with this note breakdown tend to take you either outdoors or down the citric alleyway of bergamot and lemon and things like that. And this very much doesn't do any of that because it's solely an aromatic bomb. And so unlike the citric lean, which can go sporty, youthful, young manish, generic-ish, unlike the Fougere green, oak moss, woody, base, lavender compositions that can feel like it takes you literally in a cabin in the outdoors in the 80s. This doesn't do any of those. It's very modern. It's very sharp. It's to the point. It's got a robust composition, though. Even though it's full in profile, it really dances and projects and has crazy lift off of skin. And it has a crispness that I rarely find in the citric lean or the Fougere lean. And so it just appeals to a very modern put-togetherness type of gentleman that's very timeless. And it's not like other timeless Fougeres that still feel kind of like old and new. This feels very much modern and contemporary. And so I just wanted to clear up the performance. The performance for an eau de toilette is amazing. It gets the job done. It will certainly get you through a work shift, and the skin scent of it keeps you with a kind of luxury bar soap freshness for the rest of the day. Lastly, I want to talk about the price tag. I said before that for what you get, it's not worth the price. Let me just say this, guys, and we will wrap up shortly. That is utterly false. The price tag on this is for 50 mil around 110 before tax and all that, and 145 for the 100 mil. Both price points completely worth it. In fact, my evaluation of this fragrance now is that it is 10 out of 10 flawless. I don't think many fragrances in the metallic, simple bergamot, or classy modern Fougere category really can hold a candle to this fragrance. It's a Swiss Army knife. It's also one of the most layerable fragrances because it doesn't have a distinct kind of vanilla or woods or floral or, there's nothing that really sticks out. Even though I read all those notes to you, they really blend together. And all of the different facets I get with this fragrance are more vibe differences and texture differences. I don't really get a change in scent profile where it's like, oh, I noticed the lavender, or, oh, I noticed the jasmine. It all really has a sophisticated glue that feels singular, but very robust and complex. But the price points are amazing. I would pay $150 for this fragrance all day long. Thankfully, I got the 100 mil for only $100. I got it for the 50 mil price, but I think this is great. And the fragrance that I mentioned, Legacy from Armaf, I believe, is a great fragrance, but it doesn't hold a candle to this. It matches the smell, not the atmosphere and texture that you get with this, which gives it that sophisticated lift. It's very much a junior to this. I absolutely love this fragrance. It layers with a lot of stuff, but by itself, it is just dumb reach, luxury, masculine. Lastly, I'll just say that what I love about this fragrance is because it doesn't have a distinct like vanilla or woods or whatever, it's literally an aromatic bomb. Um, Almost similar to like a smoother, more modern take on like a Zaro Pour Homme. Um, there's a masculine mystery to this fragrance. Like because there's no distinct kind of note that you can make out, it makes you look extremely classy, but also hard to read. Like this man is, it captures the essence of what women look for in a man first, which before signature is just cleanliness, classiness, and upscaleness. But because it doesn't have a distinct feature note like a lemon or a vanilla or cedar or something like that, outside of just kind of this green, soapy, super airy aromaticness, it kind of puts some mystery behind you. Like, I know that man is successful, he's sexy, he's classy, but there's something to this man, like, that I don't know, and I want to know more about this individual. Like, it has a seriousness to it that is very much a no games type of fragrance, but it strikes a serious amount of curiosity in my mind when I wear this. You're almost like the mystery man everybody wants to know the inside scoop on, because it's approachable but not readable, if that makes sense. This is an absolute phenomenal fragrance. 10 out of 10 for me at this current moment. It took me a year to really figure that out. And again, it just showed me since I've grown, and that's why I don't do hot takes as much now, that it really matters that you're putting fragrances on skin. It really matters that you get full distribution. It really matters that you're constantly learning in fragrance so that you have the tools to describe fragrances more clearly for the audience, and even to understand what notes and things that stand out in a fragrance that you're drawn to. And also just to always seek to get the big picture of something, and to not just think that because you have a test strip in your hand, you can figure out a scent. Oftentimes that's not the case. We all have different chemistry. We all are at different places in our journey. And once you really put it on skin, you have the best opportunity to evaluate all of the things that people care about when considering a fragrance. Again, this was Chanel's Platinum Egoiste. I highly recommend, if you're into any of the Invictus styles, simple bergamot clean styles, simple aromatic luxury compositions, this is a masterclass and a starting point where it's like, if you have this, it'll take a lot for a fragrance to really beat this out in its category because of how high end and luxury it smells. Though it's Chanel and it's a designer brand, I've never considered Platinum Egoiste to be a designer fragrance. It can go toe to toe with the best of the best niche and artisanal fragrances out there. And I challenge you to name an aromatic luxury niche fragrance that beats this, and we can evaluate that. I'm more than happy to admit if it does, but guys, this has tons of versatility. The last thing I'll just say is that if you're a young guy, 25 and down, you may not be the type of man that can pull this off, because I can see how young people could approach this and wonder where the bells and whistles are. The bells and whistles are in the texture and unapologetic aromaticness of this fragrance, and a fully aromatic celebration is not a category of fragrance that most young men really understand. This is for the working man, the successful man, the man who pays all of his own bills, the man who takes care of multiple people in his family, the man who doesn't need to lure a woman in with sweetness and roses and cotton candy, but he just walks in the room and his presence is felt and wanted for just being who he is, and he's a man's man. And so young guys are on their way to that, but many aren't there yet. So that's the only thing left I'll say, is that if you're about 25 and up, I think every man needs to have this fragrance in their collection. But get your nose on it. Let me know what you think. Again, I'm growing. I'm willing to admit my wrongs. And I was completely wrong about this fragrance a year ago because I made some rookie mistakes. I want to just let you guys know, and we'll end the video here because we're already at 20 minutes on an apology video, that I'm going to try to do a better job this year of seeing the key areas in my journey where I have grown, and to go back to certain pieces of content that I feel are worthy of an update, so you can see not only how I've grown, but you can see another side to me, which is my development and changing, and also to right my wrongs with fragrances that I think we need to go back to and reconsider. And I hope that spawns the same kind of attitude in your own journey. Always be ready to be blown away by a fragrance that you weren't blown away by when you first smelled it, because you are in a new place with the tools and mindset and lifestyle to really make use of a fragrance. Absolutely stunning bottle, absolutely stunning fragrance, 10 out of 10. This was Chanel's Platinum Egoiste. And I'm sorry, guys, but hopefully this update rights my wrongs. Have a blessed week. Peace.